to the channel. If you're new here, I'm a fourth-year medical student, and in today's video, I wanted to share 5 tips to how to write a good personal statement. About now is the start of a new application cycle, whether you're applying to college or to medical school or to residency programs. I have been working on my own personal statement for a residency application, so today I wanted to share with you some of the things I've learned along the way. Before we get into it, you might wonder why having a good personal statement matters. And I want to say that when you apply to schools, whether it is college or medical school, as well as residency programs, they have a lot of information about you already. They have your transcripts, so they know how well you did during the school year, and they also know how well you did on standardized exams, whether it is the SAT if you're applying to college, or the MCAT if you're applying to medical school, or your STEP exam scores if you're applying to residency programs. At this point in the application cycle, there's not much that you can do to change those numbers. However, a personal statement is something that you have full control over and something that you can use to tell the school about yourself in a way that you want to. In my opinion, a good personal statement will definitely help. Some might play devil's advocate and say, you know what, most personal statements are pretty good when they're submitted and it's not really something that you can use to make an applicant stand out. I think that could be a fair point, but the point that I'm trying to make is that a bad personal statement, if it's not well written and if it has a lot of grammatical errors and typos, a bad one can definitely hurt you and can keep you from getting the interviews that you want to. With that said, let's talk about the 5 tips that I have to offer today. Tip number 1, definitely read examples before you get started. Try to read other people's personal statements to get an idea of, number 1, how long the personal statement is supposed to be, number 2, how other people typically structure their personal statements, and number 3, what kind of things other people usually write about. There are a lot of resources that you can go to. If you have friends or family members who've applied before you and they're kind enough to share their personal statements, definitely use them as a resource. And if you're applying to college or medical school, there are actually many different websites and books out there that actually teach you how to write personal statements. And then last but not least, you can always check out university websites or medical school websites. Sometimes they actually post good personal statements as examples online, so definitely use those as well. Tip number 2. After you get an idea of how other people usually write their personal statements, you have to remember that your personal statement is ultimately about you. If you're applying to colleges or medical schools, definitely talk about your journey that led you to wanting to apply to those specific schools. If you're applying to residency programs, then you should definitely discuss what experiences you've had that lead you to want to apply into that specific specialty. And it might be helpful to make a list of things that you've done, whether it's volunteering experiences, research experiences, or maybe personal encounters with a really helpful mentor or a caring physician that led you to want to go into that path. Tip number 3, getting started early as you can. A lot of times for me, just to force myself to sit down and get started on a first draft is the most difficult part, and I think that's oftentimes true for a lot of other people as well. I am unfortunately not someone who can just sit down and write out my thoughts fluently, so I found it to be really helpful to just force myself to sit down and to write out my thoughts. You know, in the beginning, they were not polished ideas, and oftentimes they were not even complete sentences, but just getting started early was something that really helped me through this process. Tip number 4, don't repeat what's already listed in your activities section. When you apply to colleges and medical schools, as well as for residency programs, oftentimes there is a separate section on the application portal for you to actually list out everything that you've participated in, whether it's research experiences or extracurricular activities. So when you write out your personal statement, make sure that you're not just repeating what's already listed out somewhere else in the application. Try to pick 1 or 2 highlight events, elaborate on those, make those into a story, and make sure that in your personal statement, you are making your narrative captivating and you're keeping your reader's attention by not repeating what's already listed. Tip number 5, review. After you're done with your draft, make sure you read it multiple times to catch any typos or grammatical errors that you can, and also ask your friends, your parents, your other family members, your college counselors, your teachers in school to read your personal statement and ask them for feedback. After you hear their thoughts, make sure you take them seriously and incorporate into your own drafts. Having done multiple edits, multiple rounds of revisions, when I look back at my original draft and compare it to what I have now, I can see that just incorporating other people's feedback and editing has made a significant difference in the quality of my own personal statement. Bonus tip that actually goes along with tip number 5. There is an application or plugin that I use called Grammarly to help me catch grammatical errors that I myself might miss. Not sponsored by them, but I have really enjoyed using their application. I hope you found the 5 tips that I shared about writing a good personal statement to be helpful. If you've enjoyed this video, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.